So I am here actually basically to have a talk on first we will take a subject on the roles and duties of the sub-registrar. So sub-registrars are actually working under the registration department. So let us understand first what is the registration department. So the registration department functions under the administrative control of the law department and is headed by the state registrars. And there are 3 district registrars who are working under the state registrars. One at the district register north, one at district register south, and one at the district register head office. Now, what actually the registration department do? So the registration department basically deal with recording and preserving of evidential matters relating to contracts, status, testamentary dispositions, etc. of individual citizens like marriages, legitimizations, adoptions, then more importantly documents relating to contractual obligations, issue of birth and death certificates, property transactions, registration of firms, wills, and so on. I will explain you in details about this. Next slide, please. So this is what I have explained just now. This is an organizational setup of our registration department. Okay. So the registration department is headed by the law secretary, and under the Registration Act, he has also been designated as the Inspector General of Registration. So under the law secretary, there is a state registrar. So this state registrar is the head of the department who controls the administration of this department. So to assist him, there are 3 officers by district registrars, both the district, that is north and south, and district registrar's headquarters functions as an assistant to the state registrar in performing the administrative functions. So as you all know, we have got 12 talukas. So in each taluka, there is a sub-registrar office. There are around 5 sub-registrar offices in North Goa district and 7 sub-registrars offices in South Goa district. So what we see on the screen is actually the organizational setup, how the setup of the registration department is. Now we will go as to what are the services being provided by the registration department. So these are all this, I'll explain you in short about this, and in the next slides we can go in details. So the first and the most important service that the registration department gives is registration of documents like sale deeds, lease deeds, mortgage deeds, partition deeds. So all these things are covered under the Transfer of Property Act and the Registration Act 1908. So whenever there is a transfer of any immovable property from one person to another person, that document is required to be compulsorily registered before an office of the sub-registrars, and this is one of the functions of the registration department. Next important is registration of marriages. So as you know, from the Portuguese regime, the registration of marriages had been made mandatory in the entire state of Goa. So registration of marriages, then issue of marriage certificates. Then there are cases where there has been certain clerical errors that has happened in the marriage registration. So we correct it by way of special procedures under the Act, and we call it as a marriage corrections. Then even you know that there are partnership firms. Means many people start a business. So you can start it as a proprietorship or as a partnership firm or as a company, or there is a new concept that is that as limited liability partnership. So here a partnership firm under the Indian Partnership Act is required to be registered, and this work is done at the sub-registrar offices. Then we have got registration of societies under the Societies Registration Act. So what we do here, you can see there are many sports and cultural clubs, then there are Mahila Mandals, then there are self-help groups. All these things, there are NGOs also. So these are also to be registered under the registration department, and this work of registration of such NGOs or Mahila Mandals are done at the district registrar offices in North Goa and South Goa. Another important service that the registration department gives through the sub-registrar offices is registration of notarial documents like succession deeds, wills and relinquishments. By succession deeds we mean whenever there is any person whose legal heirs needs to be declared. So such declaration of heirships is done by way of succession deeds. Then we have issued a certified copy of all registered documents. So whatever documents are registered under the Registration Act 1908, such certified copies of such documents are also issued at the sub-registrar offices. Then there is another service called as issue of nil encumbrance certificate. What is nil encumbrance certificate? So if any property is there and if that owner of that property has mortgaged that property with any banks or any financial institutions, we call it as encumbrance. So such encumbrance are registered before the sub-registrar. So whenever any person wants to sell his property, it is important to know that there is any encumbrance on that property. So this work is done at the sub-registrar office, wherein they check that there is any encumbrance or any mortgage or any other prohibition that is being there on that property, and if it is not there, then a nil encumbrance certificate is issued at the sub-registrar office. Then there is birth and death certificates. The sub-registrar offices all over the Goa are having births and deaths records from 1915 to 1970. So all these birth and death certificates from these years has been issued by the sub-registrar offices. After 1970, all birth and records are with the concerned panchayats and municipalities, that are the local bodies. Then this was the recently introduced topic like reconstruction of mutilated documents. What has happened in the sub-registrar offices, we have got records right from 1915 onwards. So there are cases wherein certain records are found in a mutilated conditions. So government has come up with an act, like in any cases where a particular document is mutilated and that party, we cannot issue any certified copy, then there is a procedure that has been prescribed by way of reconstructions, wherein the appropriate or competent authority is the state registrar. So here you can see what are the online services provided by the registration department. See, there were various allegations, complaints with the sub-registrar's offices as regards to their discretionary powers. So government has come with the online services. So as you can see on this slide, we have got registration online services as regards to the registration of marriages. To register anybody's marriage now, nobody has to come to the sub-registrar offices to apply. So you can make an application through the online services, through the site that we have been mentioned on this. So nobody is required to come or back before the sub-registrars for appointments and all. Your application is approved through the online mode, and the public or the citizens or the bride of groom can select an appointment date online only. Next important service we have got is a document registration. So we have got a NGDRS, what we call is National Generic Document Registration System. So if anybody wants to register his sale deeds or gift deeds, he has to make an application through this software, that is the NGDRS, where approvals are conveyed by the sub-registrar through online mode. So nobody is required to visit actually to get his document approved by the sub-registrar. So also you can take an appointment date also online. You don't have to request the sub-registrars to give him or her a particular date, because these appointment dates needs to be selected through the online mode. Even the all stamp duties and registration fees here is also paid through online mode, and you don't have to ask for any challenge before the sub-registrar office to pay the registration fees. Next online services is the issue of birth and death certificates, wherein all birth and death certificates you can make an application through an online mode, and you can collect the same once a message comes to you on your mobile phone. Then we have now introduced the digitally signed marriage certificates. This was introduced from 2018 onwards, where if anybody wants your marriage certificate, you don't have to again come to the sub-registrar office. You have to make an online application, and a digitally signed marriage certificate has been conveyed to you on your email ID. Then, as I said, the issue of nil encumbrance certificates, issue of certified copies of documents, and registration of societies are also through the online mode. Next. So let's go in some details about the marriage registration. This is also online services. It is available at https://registration.goa.gov.in. So can anybody of you tell me what are the basic requirements for a marriage registration? You are the law students, so let us understand from you what you know about marriage registration. What are the basic documents that you require for a marriage registration? Yes, anybody of you can. Yes, please stand up and. Yes, that's correct. Yes, more importantly, it is the birth certificates of both the parties. Why we need both birth certificate is because there is a mandatory age limit to do your registration. So the mandatory age limit for a marriage registration for groom is 21 years. It is mandatory that a groom has to complete 21 years of age. So also for a bride, it is mandatory that 21 years, but there is a proviso that has been given for the brides. So if bride is below 21 years but has completed 18 years, then also she is eligible to get her marriage registered. But when she is below 21 years, the consent of the parents are required. So if you have completed 21 years, there is no requirement of the consent from the parents. But if a bride is between the age of 18 to 21 years, then the consent from the parents is required. So this is why the birth certificates of the parties has been required for the marriage registration. Next, as told by one of the students, is the residence certificate. So you have to be a resident of Goa for at least a month to get your marriage registered in the state of Goa. It's not that only the Goan can register a marriage in Goa. Even foreigners can get a marriage, but they require special permissions to be obtained from the court. So there is no requirement that if you want to register your marriage here, you need to be a Goan. What are the basic requirements are that you have to stay in Goa. You have to be a resident of Goa for a period of 1 month. The documents that are required are normally the birth certificates and the ID proof of the parties. Next. So then the marriage registration is done in two stages. It's not that you come, you sign before the registrar and that your marriage is registered. It's not like that. The marriage is registered in 2 stages. The first stage is called as declaration stage, where both the parties, that is bride and groom, declare that they want to get themselves married. So they show us the intention before the register that they want to get married. So that what is in local language, this is called as first signature. In a legally we call it as a declaration stage. So both parties come, appear before the sub-registrar, they sign and they declare that their first signature means that there is a declaration from both the parties that they intend to get married. So then there is a waiting period of 15 days. So why this waiting period of 15 days? Because once there is a declaration stage, there is a notice that is published by the registrars. If anybody is having any objections as regards to the marriage between these two people, then they have to communicate to the registrar office within a period of 15 days. And after the period of 15 days and before the expiry of 90 days, they have to do the final registration of marriage, which we call as second signature in the common terms. So this actually is the marriage registration date. Your second signature or the final registration is the date of your marriage registration. Next. Then we would go as regards to the document registration. When I call it as a document registration, it is a registration of documents where transfer of any immovable property takes place. This is covered under section 17 of the Registration Act, where it mandates that any transfer of immovable property is mandatory to be registered before the sub-registrar. So I'll go to the National Generic Document Registration System. As I just told you, it is called as NGDRS. It is a web-based application software used for registration of documents at the sub-registrar office. So this software was introduced by the NIC, that is in National Informatics Center, and was implemented under the concept of one nation, one software for registration of development. So Honorable our Prime Minister wanted one common software for entire Indian states. Now we have covered around 12 states who are using this National Generic Document Registration System. So that was the idea of our Honorable Prime Minister, to have one common software for entire, and that is why Goa had introduced this software. Next. Now what is the advantage of using this software is that citizens can submit a draft document for approval of sub-registrar without actually visiting the offices. So if you want to get your document approved by the sub-registrars, you are not required to come to the offices. You have to send your draft document through the online mode. Then another benefit of this software is that online payment of stamp duty and registration fees can be paid without approaching any stamp vendors or without waiting for any queue in banks. So before introduction of this software, there was a system that sub-registrar used to give a challan and the party was supposed to go in any of the nationalized bank or a state bank of India and pay these or deposit these fees in the said banks. But now this practice has been stopped because there is an online mode of payment of both stamp duties as well as the registration fees. Then online booking of appointment at the sub-registrar offices for registration of document without asking for any favors for booking your appointment. So there was a discretionary powers to the sub-registrars. He could give any favors to anybody by giving him a selected dates, but now it is not on. This practice has been stopped because now the advocates or the concerned citizens are required to select the appointment through their user ID. Then we have got system of auto calculation of stamp duty and registration fees in respect of various deeds such as sale deeds, gift deeds, family partitions. So a common person sometimes doesn't understand what is the rate of stamp duty or what is the percentage of the registration fees that he has to pay. So there is a proviso under the National Generic Document Registration System where if you put your value of your property, the system will auto calculate the stamp duty and registration fees. Then capturing of digital photographs and finger impressions of the executing parties, reducing chances of impersonation. So before introduction of the NGDRS, there were cases where we have detected some cases and even FIRs were filed as regards to the impersonation because different person was coming in the name of somebody else. So now with this system, we can capture the digital photographs as well as the finger impressions of the persons who are executing the sale deeds or any other documents. Then we have another benefit of NGDRS is that instant registration of documents and delivery of registration system within a day. So when there was a manual registration system, it used to take around a month's time to register a document. So also to deliver the registered document also, it used to take a time of around a month. But with the introduction of NGDRS system, it is mandated for the sub-registrar to register a document on the same day of his presentation and deliver it within a day. So now another is scanning of registered documents and uploading the same on cloud server, thus securing the database permanently. So as I had said, there were cases of mutilated documents. All old documents used to get mutilated. Now whatever documents are registered before the sub-registrar are actually scanned and we upload it on a cloud server. So there are no chances of deleting or manipulating of the documents because all registered documents are being saved on a cloud server. Then search facility of the documents based upon names of executing parties, survey numbers. First, when there was a manual system of registration of document, the staff of the sub-registrar used to manually search if somebody wants, if some police authorities or investing authorities or income tax authorities wants to have a details of some persons as regards to his property details. There it used to take a lot of time because of manual search were there. But with the introduction of the NGDRS, now we can search it based upon our computers and there is an instant search with respect upon the names or survey numbers of the properties. Then generation of various types of customized reports instantly. So now we can generate any reports instantly through this software. So there are various reports that are required by the income tax authorities. So now furnishing of such reports are very instantly. Then this software helps in determining true market values of properties based upon average values of the properties. As Sir Nitin Kukolekar has just pointed out that there was difficulty in defining the market values. Now with the help of this NGDRS, we have got some secure database from where we can determine the market values of the properties. Then it's a secure database with access to data by biometric login system. So nobody can access the data. Each sub-registrar has got his biometric login. So without putting his finger, nobody can access his software. Then there is what is called as prohibited property details. Like as you know, recently there are various scams in the registration of property document, especially in the bar-based sub-registrar office. Now the police or the income tax sends us certain notices as regards to not to register a particular document with respect to particular person or with respect to the particular survey numbers. So with the help of this software, we can prohibit this registration You don't have to require a special list of the prohibited list, but when we put the entries in the database, the software itself tells you that this property is being prohibited. Next is about the notary deeds. By notary deeds we mean wills, deed of declaration of heirship. Anybody of you can tell me what is a will? I think you are final year students. Can anybody tell me what you mean by a will? I expect this answer from you because I think this subject matter has been covered in your syllabus. What is a will? Yes, please. No matter, you may be wrong, but at least make an attempt. You are future lawyers, so I think you should stand up to speak. Can you just be here? Because I am not getting you properly.
It is a document executed after the death of the person, but it is prepared before the. It is a document executed after the death of the person, stating the details of his all the property and assets, and how it will be distributed among his survivors.
It's actually, please sit down. It's not actually executed after the death. It's a last declaration made by any person. If I, as a Suraj Vernekar, wants to have a declaration of my properties as to how it has to go to my children, then I make a declaration before my death. Okay, that is the last declaration by a person as regards to the disposal of his properties within the heads or within the family is called a will. It is made during the survival of that party, and it is executed after the death of that person. During his survival, the will is not actually in force. It gets in force only after the death of the testator. The person who makes a will, we call him, means if he is a male person, we call him a testator, and if he is a female, he is called as testatrix. Okay, so this is what a will is. Then there is a concept of declaration of heirship. See, there is a person, the property is in the name of any person. So what happens after the death of that person? So it is been devolved under the legal heads. So there has to be a declaration that who are the heads of that deceased party. So such declaration is called as succession deed. So these are the things which are registered before the sub-registrars. Then there is what is called as adoption deeds. If somebody wants to adopt any child, so as per our Goan law, if such adoption takes place as per our Goan law, then such adoption deeds are required to be registered before the sub-registrars. Then there is a concept of anti-nuptial and pre-nuptial deeds. So what it means? So as per our communion of assets that has been applicable to the state of Goa, both the married couples share equal rights in any property. That means any wife, any lady, when she gets married to a person, she automatically acquires the rights in the ownership rights in the properties belong to her husband, or just a vice versa. Husband also acquires the rights in the properties of her wife. But if somebody don't want to do this, then this is what is called, they has to execute a deed called as anti-nuptial and pre-nuptial deeds, and such deeds are registered before the sub-registrar office. Then this is the concept of partnership form registers. Again, as I have told you, any person can start a business as a proprietor. Proprietor means he starts a business as a single owner. Then there is a concept of partnership forms where two or more partners can come together and start any business. Then there is what is called as company limited liability partnership. But when you want to start a partnership firm, such deeds or such firms are required to be registered at the sub-registrar offices. So we have got a complete end-to-end online service for partnership firm registration, because the partners need not come to the sub-registrar office. They has to apply online, and even they get a digitally signed partnership firm registration certificate online. So it's a complete end-to-end online service provided by the sub-registrar office. Then apart from registration of partnership firms, we have got reconstitution of partnership firms. What I mean by reconstitution is, there may be a cases wherein there are new partners who wants to come in a business or who is already a partner wants to retire from a firm. So such deed is also required to be registered whenever there is a change in the reconstitution of partnership forms. There may be a case where a principal place of business needs to be changed by any partner. So this also needs to be reported to the sub-registrar office whenever there is a change in the principal place of business. Then there is what is called as dissolution. The partnership forms are not permanent, so if somebody wants to dissolve it, such deeds are also required to be registered before the sub-registrar office. Then these are the other minor services that is being provided, that is issue of birth and death certificates from 1914 to 1970, corrections of birth and death certificates, reconstructions of births and deaths records. Then we have got issue of nil encumbrance certificate, issue of certified copies of documents, issue of marriage records, and reconstruction of mutilated records. So this registration of societies is a subject matter of the district registrars, which are done at both the district, that is north and south. So if somebody wants to start any self-help group, or there is some sports and cultural clubs or NGOs, so such things are required to be mandatorily registered under the Societies Registration Act, and this service has been provided by the district registrar offices at both the district. So coming to this topic now, why I have mentioned this act? Because as a lawyer or as a law graduates, you have got an opportunity to answer various GPSC exams. Okay? Sub-registrar posts are the Group B gazetted officers posts, and being a gazetted post, the recruitment has been done by the Goa Public Service Commissions. So many of you may be interested in answering such competitive exams, maybe for sub-registrars, mamledars, BDOs. So when you answer a sub-registrar office through GPSC, these are the acts through which you should know the basic ideas. The first and foremost is the Indian Registration Act 1908, because this act tells you about the documents mandatory to be registered before the sub-registrar, what are the procedures and what are the duties and rules of sub-registrar. That is covered under the Registration Act 1908. Then we have got a Portuguese law, that is a marriage law, we call it in a Portuguese term Código de Registro Civil. So here, as regards to marriage registration, what I have explained to you in brief about the age, what are the requirements, what are the formalities, or what are the rules for registration of marriages, this is covered under the Código de Registro Civil. Then you are required to study the Goa Succession, Special Notaries and Inventory Proceedings Act 2012. So recording of succession deeds, wills, adoption deeds are covered under this act. We have got Goa Reconstruction of Registers and Records Act 2005 and the rules made under that act, that was made in 2008. We have got the Notaries Act 1952 and the Transfer of Property Act 1882. So if you are interested in answering the sub-registrars exams through GPSC, you are required to know about these acts. That was all about our registration department in a brief. But what I would like to tell you about this, that we have got various online services in our registration department, like marriage registration, then there is issue of nil encumbrance certificates, then issue of marriage certificates. Now what is happening, these services are online. There are some citizens who are unaware about the procedures, how to apply. So my proposal to the Kare College as well as to the South Goa Advocates Association is that we would train our department. So also my office as a district registrar South would train the interested students here as regards to how to apply for a marriage registrations, how to get a marriage certificates through an online mode, or how to apply for a nil encumbrance certificate. These are very basic services that is being provided, and what is happening is that now, because these services are converted into online, what I see, let me be very frank to you, there are many agents that has been created outside my office who charge the citizens who are unaware about these online services with exorbitant fees. So as a district registrar, I want to start, or I want to have a proposal with the Kare College to start help desk, because what I know, when I was studying law, that is what was concept as legal aid cell. I don't know if that still it is existing, but through these legal aid cells also we can provide these services to the needy people so that they are not charged heavily by the agents. So those who are interested students can give their names to this college, and we will train you on this aspect, and you can help the needy people. See, I thank the South Goa Advocate Association because they are coming with the various issues to our departments wherein public is being harassed or there is no proper service being given to the public. So it helps us to improve our department or improve our offices in these regards. There was one issue as regards to the mutations because there was various delays in being. I'll just explain to you what is a mutation. So whenever there is a transfer of any immovable property takes place, okay, the transfer takes place from the owner of the property to the new purchaser. So once this document is registered, there is a need that the new purchaser has to get his name registered with the record of the rights. We have records of the rights maintained by the revenue department or the land survey department. So whenever there is a new purchaser, it is required that he incorporates his name in the records of rights. This process is called as the mutation process. It was done by the Mamletdars, but due to various workloads, there were so many delays in doing the mutations. So Nitin Kukalkar sir has taken an initiative with the government, and there was a concept wherein sub-registrars were also designated as Mamletdars for the purpose of these mutations. So there was an amendment that was made in the land revenue code where sub-registrars were given the powers to do the mutations. So now there was some issues with the sub-register office, although this was taken place long back in 2021. The sub-registrars were not doing the mutations. But I can tell you our office in Salset has been doing these mutations. Around 125 cases of mutations has already been done by our office. So also we have forwarded around 700 cases. What is happening here is that sub-registers cannot do all the mutations. What has been mandated under the proviso is that if the seller's name is directly appearing on form 1 and 14, then only sub-registrars are empowered to do the mutation. The rest of the cases we are transmitting to the Mamletdar through online mode. So around 700 cases has been submitted through online mode to the Mamletdars, and we have completed the mutations of around 125 cases. So there is some pendency, but I think in a short while we will be completing, and we will ensure that it is done within 3 days of the registration of the documents. So I will take these initiatives for the district or South Goa district, because I will issue the instructions to all the sub-registers which are coming under the South Goa district, and I will ensure that such mutations has been taking place. Next, there were issues as regards to the approvals of the documents. There was delay on the time for approving the document or giving a registered copy of document, but I am very sure that Sub-Registrar Salset office is approving these documents within a day's time, and is also giving the copy of the registered document within 2 days time. So any questions from your side? Any questions from?
The forum is now open for questions. If anyone has a question, you can please stand up and we'll come with the mic to you. If anyone has any questions you would like to ask, sir, you can stand up.
What we will be doing at we have some staff for giving the training to the interested candidates or interested students who wants to come forward to help the citizens for giving various online services. So we will train them. I will have a discussion with the principal, even the South Goa Advocates Association, and we will fix a day where we can provide such training to them, and we can immediately start some help desk at the Kare College only.
I have few ask on behalf of the citizens.
Yes, sure.
See, I'll give you an example of passport office. Anytime you take e-governance initiative, what we expect is to create a user experience. Means when you go to that office, you feel that there is a benefit derived after that e-governance or automation. Earlier, sub-registrar office, I would say, was more efficient. You go to sub-registrar office, you would get your sale deed executed, though we were manual, but we were committed. You would get a copy in 24 hours. Maybe 48 hours, but best sometimes on the same day in the evening, if they don't have labor. Today, the problem is the kind of scanning, the kind of, some offices are very lethargic. You don't get even in 20 days. I'll tell you my own cases, and I took it up because of that. And then law minister called me saying that no, Nitin, it is done in 4 days. I said it must be your case. I told him this. You asked him. I told him. I said my case, and then I realized I created a survey. I put my team there. And I got to know everyone's, there was a case of scanner being damaged or something intangible. Some cases are slow, there is no enough resource to scan because see, IT means it should be similar. So we need to also work on the process. I can't blame anybody. If the scanning has to be done, has to be done. But my point is, when we are uploading a document and under your law, it's very clear notice is put, you cannot tamper with that. So whatever I upload is the final document.
Correct.
You call it approved. Approved document is the final document.
Correct.
If that is the final document, why do you scan? Again, you ask us one extra copy of the document. The whole filing, the racks should go. Your space should be free. I'm not saying you means your department is across. They ask copies. So you do e-governance. I go online. After that, you upload it, then you scan it, then you ask a physical copy. This is outdated mentality. It should go. So people like you at the helm are capable of taking this decision because we are raising this so that you also get an input. So this will bring a seamless experience. You go and upload it document, you go to the Sub-Registrar. What you need is identification. That's it. That happens by way of your imaging. Your camera, and that's it, it moves. So that pressure on your office also will go and your system will become seamless. See, we work with many departments. The e-governance, Government of India has done in Ministry of Commerce, I was involved. It's seamless. You just apply. Now, the visa. There are many countries, you just apply for a visa, you get it in 1 hour. It's just, your data is certified in minute. So I request this should be done. Second, DigiLocker. Government of India has adopted DigiLocker system. Today I am registered as Nitin with a thumb. Again and again we are asked to produce a copy of a sale deed. Sale deed is your own document, you should pull it out from your system. I should just give a reference. Aadhaar card, every time I need to go Aadhaar card, PAN card, unless there are changes, I need not produce any other document. It should be pulled from your database because today in NGDRS you have access to the database. Even if Nitin gives you a false Aadhaar card, your document to verify, it comes to you that this Nitin and this Nitin is different. If that is the case, then my Aadhaar is my identity. Why government does not trust Aadhaar? Why you expect citizens to trust? See, today the trust of a government document should come from government, not from us. So imagine, these are the things. I was part of DigiLocker initiatives there. The DG NIC, Ajay Kumar, we work. Now what has happened? We were reviewing it. It is failing only in few states. So can you implement? And Sanjay Kumar and myself, we had actually enabled this. So it will really help you in a big way. It will make your job very seamless. Stress on your headaches, the head also will go. So these are all initiatives. Then secondly, this nil encumbrance also should be made on real-time basis. There is no reason why nil encumbrance should be issued. It should be available. All the encumbrances created are available in the system. Automatically it should be linked. The reason I will tell you, it should also be made visible. Earlier people used to take nil encumbrance certificate. After that they will register the encumbrance and then use the nil encumbrance to say that there is no encumbrance. It happened, I was EDC vice chairman. That silent resort created this. They created they got a nil encumbrance, we sanctioned the loan. Within 24 hours they created the encumbrance and by the time we disbursed the loan, there was the encumbrance. So if you make it real-time basis, which is possible in your database, let people pull it from online based database. I will pay the fee, you will give me a password, I will log in, I will take
Actually,
money.
Goa Electronics Limited, GL, is working on this, where they have got
They are working for last 1 year on
Yes,
this.
yes,
And you give me the details, we'll push them and get it done.
Correct.
I'll speak right now.
Yes.
It's important. Otherwise, people can cheat you. You're buying a property, I will go on a document which is given.
Correct.
Now after that, sub-registrar will say, look, I have issued at 12.29, even if thing is issued. So even before signing the sale deed or disbursing the loan, a last check should be feasible from, you can create a QR code, based on QR code you can just check this certificate is still valid or not. Isn't it? It will help, it will improve the governance. Then approval process. See, Income Tax Act and Registration Act is to be seen. We apply for a price. Let's say there is no transparency in price. I don't know what is the price available. As a citizen, I don't know what is the price of a plot which you think is. I apply for a plot. My deal with Pritam, let's say, is 10,000 per square meter. I put up 10,000 square meter. Then you say, no, the deeds are registered at 11, 12. But my consideration is 10 based on mutual consideration. The price is the market price. Market price is not necessarily what someone else has paid. You might be overvaluing a property. Today, people are overvaluing. If the rate of tax is low, people overvalue. But if the mutual consideration is beyond the threshold, I should have a right, but there is no threshold explained. Now, the government determination of price is the minimum price. Now, the correct price, what you take versus what I take, there is a difference. Now, let's say 10,000 I have agreed, and you load it to 12,000. If I am a government servant, there can be and I agree for that 12,000. That means there can be a case of Prevention of Corruption Act. That means, why did you declare 10,000? That means 2,000 was a cash amount. Second, if I agree for your 10,000, I don't agree with your 10,000, and if I pay stamp duty on 12,000, but my consideration remains 10,000, under 43C of Income Tax Act and Section 50, it's a capital gain. So, I am paying capital gains as a seller, and the buyer is paying gift tax. So income tax, instead of 60% on the differential amount I am paying, people are not aware. When assessment comes after 2 years, everyone start realizing it. So this gap from a citizen's perspective, we should also bridge. So there are issues. So I request, as a very learned officer, you should take it up. The valuation issues, you should come to more realistic and give freedom to the people. But you will know. From your experience, you will know how much is the rate in the Pulwa. You will come to know. Someone is between 10 to 12,000 or 15 to 20,000. That flexibility should be there. Maharashtra, it is nice. The adjudicator decides. Or it goes to the land commissioner. There is a process, and it's processed in 30 days. Here, collector sits over the papers. Collector is not supposed to sit over the papers.
Yes, sir. Issues proposed by you or issues pointed out by you are well taken, and we will ensure that it goes to because our law secretary is a very efficient officer, and then we will take these matters to the law secretary, and then we will come out with some solutions on this.
Please, because others will not raise it. You are part of one of the meetings, some of the meetings I have seen you also pushing it.
You are also the part of the meetings, because I have been a part in the meetings where you were one of the actually members of that meeting. So we will definitely say that whatever issues you are resolved out, actually it is some of the issues raised by you are under consideration of the government. What is happening that 2-3 government departments are involved in that, so there has been some delays in solving some issues.
So you tell me, I will take that lead. Even CM is willing to solve it. So someone should take it. We will take it.
Yes, definitely, sir. All your issues are well taken.
Thank you.
Thank you. Students, you all have any questions? This is the time to ask your questions. So we'll address any queries that you have.
Yeah.
I think we'll close the question and answer session now.
Just before ending, I was just going through the social media and I got some wordings. I liked it very much because some of you wants to be a lawyers in futures. Maybe some wants to answer the competitive, but those who wants to be a lawyers, I'll just read it out for you. Collar bands are one of those jewelry that can't be bought with money. It takes passion, hard work, dedication to own. So whoever wants to interested in becoming a lawyer, you please take it. You require passion to become a lawyer. Thank you.
तुम्ही पळयतात GNH.